All right, great to see you guys. And thanks again. We'll start off with Tolemykus's quote, "The world must be made safe for democracy. Its peace must be planted upon the tested foundations of political liberty." Woodrow Wilson. And thanks for that, because obviously he's, as you know, the United States are monstrously in the headlines right now with unrestricted submarine warfare being declared on the 3rd of February. They just broke off diplomatic relations with Germany. About to do it, I think, with Austria-Hungary, and about to declare war awfully quick. Oh my gosh, great to see you, Meandering Mike. I wasn't sure if you were going to be popped in because I just found out about this. I believe SD Histicon, or actually it was William Arends mentioned it over here. I'm just going to run through the people in already. Tolemykus, Brian R. Smith, William Arends, Charles Latora. I don't know. Meandering Mike, obviously. Harro Bosma mentioned earlier that he can't pop in today because he's got a dinner thing. So anyways, great to see you guys. I'm just going to say this. I don't know about you guys, but last week was flipping awesome. I had such a good, that was probably, I was mentioning to Zoe Dufour, I think that was probably one of my favorite live streams last week. There was so much engagement, so much contributions. I just had an absolute blast. And that serendipitous thing there with the dictaphone, and Wardrobe Plays World War II afterwards mentioned, he's like, you know what, that went off pretty darn well. And I didn't understand until I listened to it afterwards, and I went, wow, that actually sounded pretty darn good. So I'm really happy about this. Hope you're doing, hopefully you guys are doing well. Politics, oh yeah, good. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on. Anyway, so let me pop on the, I think I can just, oh, excellent. It goes super well. Yeah, and the nice thing is, speak of the devil, after I was mentioning it last week, I was a little worried about Can Games because I hadn't heard from them yet. Speak of the devil, we go and send off an email saying, by the way, start registering your games. So yesterday I did register. It's not verified yet, not confirmed, but I did register my usual thing where I run pocket battles on Friday afternoons. And then for Sunday, I did put it in for Sunday afternoon, the SBI's World War I, 1914, 1918. Like I said, I really would like to try to do there. Ooh, Tolemykus, interesting choice of quote, given the current times. Well, of course, I know there's something going on. Keep hearing some stuff here. Actually, yesterday I was talking to a neighbor, and it clicked in. I went, okay, maybe she means trade war. Because all of a sudden I heard her start talking about, oh, I'm stocking up on some stuff before the tariffs kick in or something. And then she's like, oh, 30 days, and then we'll find out if we're going to war. And I was like, what the hell is going on in the real world? Anyways, 96 days until Can Games, hopefully. Welcome, everyone. Oh, yeah, it's been, this has just been freaking awesome. And wait until you see, I don't even know what I would say it's, sorry, William Arends, I'm not going to, well, it does rival your contribution. I'm going to say this. When Tolemykus sent me what he sent me this week, I went, are you kidding me? Well, I'll let it out now. So remember last week we did Tolemykus sent off the Tsar's Gold logic puzzle thing, and we went through it, and I posted it on the community tab. And Tolemykus says, oh, if you want some more, I've got some. I was like, okay, cool. He sends me 53 of them, unbelievably formatted, the whole 9 yards. So I went, what the hell? 53. I'm like, that's more than one a week. So I was like, this is fantastic. So we got another thing we can do every single week on this show. I'm like, this is awesome. Like I was mentioning before as well, I think last week, it's now getting to the point where my percentage of the contribution each week for this live stream is shortening, which is freaking awesome. Which is what I wanted anyways in the first place, is to engage with you people. So there we go. And also on the side note, I was saying with Tolemykus there, yes, doesn't matter. I don't know what it is. 53 pages, it blew me away. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff there, dude. And I think goody. Tolemykus, I think as I told you earlier on, I'm not saying I'm like Mr. Whatever with the World War I Historical Association, but I have a little pull, or a little push, a little whatever, because of what I've been doing with them. So and I mentioned to you, I'm gonna go talk to them. Actually, I have a talk. There's a talk at 1:30 my time this afternoon, so it's almost practically right after the live stream. I'm going to be hanging out with them. And then I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to be pushing to get your logic puzzles published in their magazines. At the bare minimum, I guarantee you they're going to put them in their newsletters. But I'm certainly going to want to try to get push you to be published in their quarterly, man. Let's do this. This is so much fun. Anyways, here we go. Yeah, look what happened. Look what popped in the mail yesterday. Raiders of the Deep U-Boats of the Great War 1914-1918 by Ian Cooper. B. Cooper. Obviously, I've been watched a ton of Charles Latora's playthrough. And last week, I mean, you know, I knew that unrestricted submarine warfare was going to kick in. And I was like, well, why not, you know, get the game? And it popped in yesterday. So I was super duper happy. I also purchased the print and play version of Plan 19, Fuller's Plan to End the Great War. I just started making the stuff. I don't know. Please let me know, guys, if it's should be pronounced Holland. Is it Hollandspiel? Is that how it's pronounced? Anyways, that's it. There's a ton of live stream fact checker and interesting tidbits. And I swear to God, I've mentioned this before, William Arends. I don't know what it is. If we've got some kind of weird cosmic psychic hotline connection thing going on, but wait till you see what I've got in part of the interesting live stream fact checker and interesting tidbit section about. Remember, I was going to look up Tirpitz because I wasn't sure. I was like, why do they keep calling him Grand Admiral and whatnot? I'm like, he resigned back in March of 1916, I do believe, because of the whole unrestricted submarine warfare thing, Majid. He wanted to go way earlier, remember? Any hoots. You start talking about it, and I couldn't find a certain port where, and you just end up oodles of information with your ATA this week. It just knocked me on my butt. Thank you, Meandering Mike. That solves the problem for me anyways, because last week I wasn't sure if I was saying it correctly. So Hollandspiel, I was saying it right. I was actually mimicking you from way back when I heard you say it. So there we go. That's how I heard it said in English. No clue in other language. Okay, done. All right. Yeah, this is, well, it's also like a special little nod for Brian R. Smith. This knocked me sideways. One of the articles, I don't know if we're going to go take a look at it. It was from last week. That France was actually thinking of selling Saint-Pierre. And actually, on a side note with Meandering Mike, he's got the Saint-Pierre and Miquelon nautical charts he was interested in taking a look at. They were thinking about selling them off to Newfoundland. I was like, what? Well, I never knew about that in a million years. So that was kind of neat to hear about. Alfred, here we go. Alfred von Tirpitz. He did resign in March 1916 with the brouhaha with the Kaiser. And so I just looked up a little bit more stuff. This is all from the Wikipedia stuff, but we're going to get into some juicy tidbits. I'll tell you when we get to William Arends' ATA. In the late 1800s, Tirpitz worked on torpedo and torpedo boat development and considered working then as the 11 best years of my life. Remember, I was even part of the World War I Who or What Am I trivia way back when. It's part of one of those cards. I think it wasn't me that did it. Here it goes. I still cannot locate the text where I read that Tirpitz initially was not an advocate to focus on U-boat construction, but soon became one of the biggest spokesmen for unrestricted submarine warfare. But I think, like I said, William Arends is going to fill us in. I was just like, you got to be joking. Remember, I think I had mentioned last week that, yes, that was part of one of the engagement questions with what would have happened, like would Great Britain have declared war against France if they had invaded Belgium? And, you know, some people are like, that would never have happened. Well, if you go take a look at Plan 17 and some of the other bits, and I looked up a little bit, still couldn't find it, but I think Victor Constant Michel has got something to do with that. I don't know anything about him. That's all I know. The steamship Housatonic and the U-boat crew discretion. So this is one of the ships this week, actually, that got nailed by a submarine. But the submarine crew alerted the steamship ahead of time. Hey, we're about to nail your ship. Let them off and so on and so forth, and escorted them to a certain point. And some people were like, oh, wow. And I'm getting most of this from Indy Nidell from the Great War Channel thing, the week that was. Anyways, it was actually, people were like, oh, this is maybe the U-boat people can be a little, use discretion. But in reality, what it was the captain clued in that ship had already left port. It was a neutral vessel, already left port before unrestricted submarine warfare had kicked in. So he just was like, okay, that's not fair. Georges Bernard, the French boxer aviator. I think I mentioned him. I was trying to find him. I saw him in the headlines that a former whatever had aviator had died, and I was like, wait a minute, we had talked about him a few months earlier, where he had been offered a ton of money to go and tour in the United States and said, no, thank you. I ended up finding a little bit about him. Let's go super duper ultra quick if I can find the, yep, I can right here. I just want to show you very quickly what he looked like. And then we'll go from there. I'm going to stop the screen. And then I'm going to pop into this thing here. And I'm not getting rid of that one. Please let me know if my the internet thing goes down. My computer's got a ton of windows open and all kinds of crazy nonsense. So hopefully it'll work well. And we're 10 minutes in. We're still okay. It's just you know, what do you want? It's episode 106 now. Things are starting to really click in. Here we go. So you guys can see that. So there he is. That's Georges Bernard. That's the guy that's French middleweight. I don't know if he was world or whatever. Well, I'll say here. Yeah, he was also reportedly won the French middleweight title. There you go. He ends up becoming, remember, and like I said, I just wanted to look him up. That's all it is, really. Okay, I'm going to new. I'm going to stop screen, and we're going to go to, oh, darn it. I hate it when it does that. We'll get rid of that guy for now, and then we're going to get to this thing here. It drives me up the tree when it does that. I have to learn about a little bit more of StreamYard. Oh. I'm going to be more selective in my contributions to this live stream. I don't need to retell the same events that you cover in the war summary, but rather provide a unique German perspective. William Arends, man. I forgot to put myself on here. You do whatever the heck you want. And I'm going to pop it on, is what I'm trying to say. Thank you so much. Like I said before, I'm just the host now. That's all that's all it is, really. It's freaking awesome. The American Congress, this knocked me sideways. I didn't realize that once unrestricted submarine warfare kicked in, that the American Congress was actually going against Wilson in a sense and actually wanted to stop all shipping, including with the Entente. And I was like, what? You guys are making a ton of money off of that. And that's so that's saying something. If that, you know, like, it just blew me away, because I'm sure there's a lot of business lobbyists are going, whoa, don't do that. Anyways, and I just found this out early this morning when I was listening to one of the podcasts from Not So Quiet on the Western Front. So right now, Not So Quiet on the Western Front is just finished up. I'm a little behind. They started up like a little French mini series, and I was like, oh, excellent! This is dovetailing in perfectly with my Edith Wharton book. They're fighting France, and she's just like right now, almost spring 1915 kind of thing. And anyways, I had no idea that there was French had many languages besides just dialects, and some people like near the Basque region and whatnot could not understand other people. I was just like, whoa, that was freaky. The Dreyfus affair is a poor, darn it. Well, I've got it in the sources and links. It's still fresh baked out of the oven from my head. It has something to do with the French getting whiff of what the Germans were planning with their, and that's what I guess started setting up the Plan 17 thingamajig, and also with the way they were going to set up their forts, or a very defensive posture that way. I'm not talking about the and whatever. And I think the Dreyfus dude was a guy who was mistakenly accused of that, in prison, went off to some kind of remote island, a la Papillon kind of thing and whatnot. Eventually they found out it was actually some royal piece of royalty, and maybe that's why he got away with it. That guy got away with it for a while. But anyways, even his sons got in trouble. But sources and links, you can go off and find out about the British. And I also found this out yet again, I think from the Not So Quiet on the Western Front podcast today. The British were involved in a war somewhere in the world every single year during Queen Victoria's reign, except 1862. And they almost did, due to the American Civil War, I guess, they would have joined the Confederates and gone against the Union. You guys would know more about that for sure. And that the French, this is going to be neat now, looking forward with some of the reports and starting to even look backwards. When I start seeing some of the stuff, we're looking at headlines and whatnot, and reading things, is that the French used the term Senegalese to describe any colonial soldier coming from Western Africa type of stuff. I was like, okay, so this is going to be interesting when I start looking at, when they start saying stuff. It's going to be neat. Lord Devonport, he's there. I can't remember why I've got him listed there. And this week that France is preparing to mobilize all people between the ages of 16 and 60, regardless of sex. So the squeeze is getting on, man. The sliding scale, and yet again, the sliding scale of medical exemptions. I've been seeing this in the articles, seen from all belligerents, of course, because they're running out of people. The Vaterland and the Neptune are two ships that are going to be mentioned in the summary thingamajigs. They're two intern German ships. One's really big, one's really small, but it was just, I wanted to go and look them up a little bit more. The Ferryman's House, darn it. It's got something to do, I think, somewhere in Belgium. I can't find anything. But I'm going to show you what I did find instead. What in the world is, do I have it? Oh, I do. So I found this instead. I'm going to have to go and mention it to Zoe Dufour. Hold on, I got to go and pop it in these. Jeepers jumper. We're 15 minutes in. Man, we're doing all right, kind of. I just want to get to the trivia questions and start getting things going here and getting into the juice. But here we go. All right. So this is what I ended up finding out instead. Like I said, I wanted to go and find out something about this. Yet again, it was in the war summary. I had something just mentioned. Like, oh, the ferryman's. Oh yeah, it was. I think some kind of Belgian secret little force or something that were going around causing havoc. But anyways, instead, I couldn't find anything. But I find this book thing about on the surface a quiet township in rural Ontario might seem picturesque. Blah blah blah. I was just like, what in the world? So anyways, I just throwing it out there. Anyways, let's get back to the. I'll get rid of that thing, and then we'll go back to the this so I can show you. Boink, boink, and I think we're almost at the trivia thing, so that'll be a good thing. All right. Yeah, I know. This is just yet again me being, my Great War stomach being eyes being way bigger than my my time management stomach. I'd love someday to just pick a person in the headlines or whatever, or find somebody that we see and whatnot, and just see if I can find their relatives today through or whatever. I think that'd be kind of cool. Does anybody know what the flip book is? It was mentioned last week during one of the sessions I had with the World War I Historical Association. I have no idea what the heck a flip book. They kept mentioning about converting things to a flip book. The Sussex Agreement got something to do with, I guess, the naval whatever, and that the unrestricted submarine warfare campaign is certainly going against the Sussex Agreement. General Vladimir Vazov, holy smokes, a Bulgarian general that I found out about this week from watching Indy Nidell and the Great War thing. I'm not putting my thingamajig again. Sorry, I just get it way off into Wonderland. We got you guys. I've got him in the sources and link. Look him up, General Vladimir Vazov. Holy moly, what an interesting character, and certainly gave the British a surprise. Super quickie fact thingamajig. He was building trenches in certain sections, 17 meters deep. All kinds of concrete and whatnot, and was able to actually fully, I think, an entire division was able to be put in under there, and they had like farms set up behind the trenches there, but run by soldiers, all kinds of crazy stuff, just amazing. Here are your two engagement questions. Oh, thank you, Tolemykus. Flip book is 2 books in one. The second at the end, it's upside. Okay, thank you. I had no clue what I had no idea what the heck a flip book is. So there you go. Thanks, man. How much do you guys think the Franco-Prussian War shaped other nations besides France and Germany? In other words, for a fact, just like in the Russo-Japanese War or the Franco-Italian War, people look. They have observers there. My God, even the French had people over from the Civil War, observing in the Civil War and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, darn it, how the freaking Zeppelin started, for God's sake. Zeppelin was on over there as an observer and went, holy smokes, whoever like these air balloons, and away he went. So what I'm saying is, how much do you guys think the other countries were looking at the Franco-Prussian War and were probably going, holy moly, we didn't expect that to happen. And how did they prepare? How did they react? I'm just throwing that up. There we go. Yes, oh my God. Meandering, you're bringing back a beautiful memory. Those Tor double book paperbacks were freaking amazing. They knocked my socks off. Oh, thanks for bringing that out. Oh, yes. And also, who is your favorite game publisher? I don't care if they're not around anymore or whatever. I'd love to know. And here we go. So now we're into the bloody who or what am I? 20 minutes in. This is amazing. Oh, somebody this morning was like asking me, she's like, she goes, oh, how long's your live stream? Is it all day? And I was like, no, but it could be. I never shut up. Anyways, let's get into, so you can see the points here. Tolemykus, people are starting to slowly go, man, you might got it last week. So people are starting to slowly, I want to give Harro Bosma a little point. Oh my gosh, Ashley, super great to see you, man. Did I see you guys last Sunday? I'm not really sure. Oh, darn it. But super great to see you. I hope you're having a good day here. Kind of similar to Brian R. Smith, Montreal. I don't know if he's getting the sun, but I was walking home. I went out earlier this morning. It was just gorgeous. The sun beaming on the snow crystals, really warm. It's just fantastic. Anyways, let's get to the first. And you're in perfect timing, Ashley, for the who or what am I in World War One. So here's your first clue, which I've been doing this a lot every week. I was thinking to myself when I was making the clues, because I'm trying to entice people to go to the community tab and take a look at the daily headlines. Obviously, I'm not silly. I mean, come on, I'm trying to use everything available. So I've been in the news a lot recently. So who or what am I? A Tolemykus, you little brat. But you're gonna get a point for sure. So I guess you know that you are incorrect. Sorry, Charles. Latora says Ukraine. Hold on. And you, but you are incorrect. Incorrect. But you're gonna get one. And remember, I don't know. I don't know what that is. But you're gonna. Well, I'm not gonna get you that. The community tab is not called post. Oh, sorry. Is now called post the depression. Ooh, nice one. But you are incorrect, but you're getting a point. And there we go. Oh, you missed the first clue. Hold on, I'll pop it back on. I've been in the news a lot recently. There we go. Willie Manor says U-boats. You're gonna get a point, but you are incorrect. There you go. Charles Latora says ooh, hold on here. I should keep trying to. I wish I would have had like a little whatever peace talks. Actually, I was thinking about all of the so many things I want to do with the Great War, and I was like, you know what? I really need a staff. I'm like, yeah, dream on, buddy, dream on. Meandering Mike says tyranny. You're incorrect, but you're getting a point. And ooh, Tolemykus says aircraft. I like that one, but you are incorrect. I'm now going to get go to the next clue. The first recorded use of me is over 6,000 years ago in China. Who or what am I? So obviously it's what am I? I would hope that you guys clued into that. So the next thing we're going to go take a look after we do the whatever is oh yeah, the grog shed. I've got it in the sources and links. Is the last cruise the German East Asian Squadron? It's a lecture that was done just a little while ago. I missed it, damn it. Was the from the National World War I Museum and Memorial. Hold on here. You guys are going a mile a minute. Meandering Mike says opium. You are incorrect, but you're going to get a point. Hold on here. William Arends says artillery. You're going to get a point, but you are incorrect. Tolemykus says poison. You are also incorrect, but you're going to get a point. I'm going to get you your third clue then. And it should say, well, actually, I can edit. I forgot. Before you actually see what I can change the, there we go. And I save it, and then I show it. A form of me is used in certain writing instruments. Who? What am I? Anyways, the last cruise, German East Asian Squadron, the Grog Shed. I've got it in the sources and links. You can go and watch the lecture on YouTube. And this is the sweetheart. Meandering Mike says Inc. Oh my gosh, but you are incorrect. But you're going to get a point. And so is Charles Latora. two of the three musketeers. I'm the third one in my little universe. Even Zoe Dufour looks at it. Oh my God, Tolemykus, you're almost. You're almost. Yeah. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to give you now. I can't because that's it. Boom. So Tolemykus, you're okay. I'm going based on the wiki. Charles Latora, you are correct. Cool. Tolemykus, I'm just going based on the wiki link, and it says that, believe it or not, I was like, say what? I didn't really realize that graphite, and they said graphite is actually a form of coal. I went, okay, all right, I'll leave you to that. Let's take a look at the other banners very quickly, but you're going to get it, Charles Latora. Well done, man. Well done. And let me get to the other banners. Yeah, it's because I was like, gosh, I was thinking to myself, I'm putting this a little too much. It's a little too easy because there's been like even the video of the week this week is that coal car. I couldn't believe I found the video of that coal car. Remember, I had that picture on the World War One image of the day on the community posts. Is that what they're called now? Lloyd George once said that every extra wagon load would bring the war to a more speedy conclusion. Right now, I think he's doing like a tour of all the mines, going, "Don't strike," and pump up the coal volume, kind of thing. A form of me is used in the manufacture of steel. I guess what is that, coke or something like that? I don't know any of that. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. And then I really took off during the Industrial Revolution, as everybody knows. And the answer is coal. Well done, Charles Latora. And you're going to get pumped up a bit more. Just the post tab. The word community was removed. Okay, thanks, man. So it's just called posts now. All right, I have to stop doing that. Well done, man. So yeah, let's go to because the video will be in a minute. I wanted to go to. There you go, Charles Latora. Yes, you're going up in points, man. And it's kind of nice because I'm like, oh, you were the one who got me going into the Raiders of the Deep there, and I'm really excited. It looks darn good. Opened the box there last night before bed, and I was like, oh boy, I can't wait to be a U-boat commander. Oh man, it's going to be fun. But I'm still want to play the supply lines of the American Revolution, Northern Theater, 1975 to sorry, I keep doing that, 1775 to 1777. All right, so I'm gonna get rid of me so you guys can see a bit better. Good. Hopefully you guys can read this. So this is thank you, Tolemykus, man. This is just freaking amazing. And like I said, I hope to God we see you published in the magazine. The mission to save the guns of Le Cateau, August 26, 1914. In the early weeks of World War I, the British Expeditionary Force was engaged in a desperate retreat across Belgium and France. After the Battle of Mons, British forces attempted to withdraw, and this is going to be put in the posts, my YouTube posts or YouTube or whatever. I still can't. It's called just the post tab. Yeah, I'll put it in there. On August 26, 1914, there's a movie called The Enemy Below. Really? I had no idea. On August 26, 1914, at the town of Le Cateau, British forces made a stand to delay German advance, allow the retreating comrades to escape. Under relentless artillery fire and outnumbered nearly 3-1, British soldiers held their ground with field artillery providing crucial covering fire. And I got this right, Tolemykus, based on when I was doing it this morning. I went, it was just based on so many times I've been reading in the headlines, and they're like, this is what you should be doing. Let's see if this one works. That's not but good, so you can guys, whatever. Under relentless artillery fire and outnumbered nearly 3-1, British soldiers held their gun with, did I do that bit? Probably. Several British artillery officers and cavalrymen realized there was only a short window to act. They had to make a choice, abandon the guns to the enemy or risk everything to pull them out under the fire. Personally, I will probably keep calling it the community tab out of habit. Yeah, I know it's so weird. My mind is still kind of like, I've been calling it that so much. Goodness gracious. Where are we here? Several British artillery. Yeah, we did that. Question. If you were in command, what would be the best way to save the artillery pieces before they fell into German hands? A, organize a quick cavalry charge to recover as many guns as possible before German forces arrive. B, destroy the guns in place with explosives to prevent them from being captured. C, leave the guns behind and focus on saving as many men as possible. D, call for a last stand defense to buy more time for artillery crews to withdraw the guns. E, attempt to conceal the guns under debris and abandon equipment to recover them later. Clues and false reports. A messenger. Oh, I know what we're going to do. I'm going to see if this will work. I think I can. We're going to let you think about it for a little while. Then we're going to go off to other stuff, and then we're going to go into Tolemykus's answer. How does that sound? I like that. Clues and false reports, because I want to go make sure we take a look at some other stuff very quickly. At least scroll down the narrative super duper ultra quick. What the heck is Charles Latora saying now? World War II, a German sub versus a U.S. destroyer. The captain served in the U-boats. Oh, that's the movie. The enemy below. Cool. And he makes a joke with the second command about if submerged, they never knew if they were going to ever come up again. Cool. Thanks, man. So clues and false reports. A messenger reported reinforcements were on the way, but they never arrived. Some soldiers believed the Germans would avoid capturing the guns in favor of pursuing the retreating British. The roads leading, and oops, I should shush. The roads leading out of, because I almost gave it away. The roads leading out of Le Cateau were being shelled heavily, making movement difficult. A captured German officer later revealed their orders were to secure as many British artillery pieces as possible. And also several gunners volunteered to stay behind and hold off the enemy, but communications were breaking down. And I just want to kind of give you a teaser. Oop, oop, oop. There, and we're still okay. Discussion topics. How important was artillery in World War I battles? 2, what were the risks of abandoning heavy weapons in battle? 3, how did cavalry and mobile units factor in early World War I tactics? 4, what are examples of successful battle extractions in military history? 5, how did quick decision-making influence battles during the early war? And then Meandering says, with great swagger, I stuffed the guns of Le Cateau in my pants and say, is that a cannon in my pocket, or am I just happy to see you? Oh my God, that sounds like a little bit of Mae West to you. Eh? The story was reprised in the Star Trek original episode with Kirk hunting a cloaked Romulan ship. Cool. Oh my gosh, you guys are freaking awesome. Okay, let's get to the narrative so I can make sure that we're looking at everything here. Yes, now we get to go to that crazy thing. I watched the video. I was like, you've got to be joking. Oh my God. Or at least put the bloody thing on the top. You're going to see the motorcycle. You're just like, what in the world? Okay, let me get to the thing here. It's in a playlist for the critical pass thingamajig, like I said. So let me just get to it first, so you don't have to see all the other funky business. Oh no, but if I had, let's go. I want to actually share it, because if I don't share it, because you can see, because yeah, as you know with YouTube, it always shows you things that, hey, you may be interested in these videos. And lo and behold, no, I want, hold on here. I'm almost there. All right, and then I go to this one. Share this tab instead. All right, there you go. That's why. See, Meandering Mike's on the left-hand side. And so it's plays World War II, so why not? That's pretty cool. Now, let me go to the playlists. Might as well give people free advertising, for crying out loud. Jeepers jumping. Oh yeah, critical past. All right, and that's at the very end. This insane thing. It's only a minute long, but you're just like, what in the world? Oh, let's get back to what he said. Am I in the right speed? Playback speed. Yeah, okay. Just, didn't you find that guy's awfully quick? Like, I couldn't even read it. This is not a water wagon. It is a coal gas motor tank for driving vehicles. Britain's solution to the gasoline shortage, it says. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just like, maybe you should put the tank above your head, or like above the, like a little bit further up. You know what I mean? Like he can't see shit on the left. The other guy's like on his head. Did you see his head? He's like the poor guy that was sitting in the sidecar. He's like at a 45-degree angle. Holy moly. But they'll show you there's a bus as well later on. Here, yeah, they're showing you filling it up. All right, this is just, the bus, yes. Just wild. Oh, crazy or what? Okay, let me stop the screen. Good. I'll get rid of this. I just thought that was really neat. I was like, whoa. All right, let me see if, oh yeah, we're going to go back to let's go back to the narrative. I'll make sure that I've got it set up. We're doing all right. I think 25 minutes in. So it doesn't seem very safe. I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh my gosh. Not to mention, well, as if they worried about environmental issues back then, but you're just like, oh yeah. So we did that. Yeah. So the downfall of empires. Let's go take a super quickie look. So this game, let me go get well, actually, I don't need to do that. I can just go straight to BGG. Hold on here. I just want to make sure that I don't kill this other whatever. So we're going to go to here. Boink. I've bought stuff. Too much. Nothing World War I, though. Sorry. Oh, that's okay, Charles Latora, man. You've done more than enough World War I stuff already, and you're super duper inspirational anyways. All right. I love your stuff to bits. All right. So this was based on, so I've just purchased this game a little while ago. I think I was mentioning to you guys that I had actually. It arrived, and that's why I didn't want to talk about it last week. This was a viewer, somebody commented and said, have you heard of Downfall of Empires? And I said, no, never heard of it before in my life. It looks really nice. I probably will do a video look around of it. Did you really? Whoa, cool, man. I'll tell you one thing. You know what? I don't see why not. Well, I know we're running out of time. I'm not going to watch the whole bloody thing. But there is I did see, there we are. Did we not take a look at this, guys, at one point? But look at that map. Nice map. Good luck, Brian Smith. Good luck. But the kicker for me, guys, for this game, when I was looking through the rules, like I just purchased it straight up on a recommendation of the viewer. No idea what I was getting myself into. It's got technology advancements, that type of stuff. I went, oh my god! And it looks like a relatively easy way of doing things for the technology track. I don't think we're going to get into trouble for this. For God's sakes, we're giving them free advertising for their product. Let's see, you know what I mean? Goodness gracious. Wait till you see the technology track. I don't want to go too far in because we want to get into our real stuff, especially with the ATA and whatnot. How much are we into for minutes? Where's I want to show you try to go. There's missions that I think you need to accomplish to get be able to do things. Which is the diplomacy. I'm not sure, but I know there's something about. That's it. Look at this. Oh my god. This looks freaking awesome. All right, so I'm going to stop that. I'm going to kill that. So that's that, guys. That looks pretty darn good. I don't know about you guys. So let me get to the, let's straight up, because I want to get into, make sure that we're not screwing around too much. Okay. So this, you guys can see that good. So this is going to be this afternoon. I'm going to be pretty darn tired afterwards. I'm going to probably have to crash and burn after this after this talk. But so this is this afternoon. But I also wanted you to show you guys this later on. I think if you go to their website, they'll have this stuff here that you can go and take a look. Remember, you can watch previous chapter meetings, fireside chats on our World War One YouTube channel. There you go. This looks pretty darn interesting. Yet again, they always have like, and this is just their monthly newsletter stuff. And that's going to be the next issue coming up. And I'm hoping that 2 issues from now would not be super duper ultra great, is to see Tolemykus's thing in there. I would really, really like that. All right, so hold on here. I'm going to get into present back to the thing to make sure I know what I'm looking at. So we did that. I told you, yeah, we're already there. The Western Front Association upcoming talks. I can show it to you super duper quick right there. And let's see if I can, I want to get rid of this. And then I want to make sure that it's there. Oh my God, guys, look at what's coming up. I don't know if you have to be a member, to be honest with you, for the online talks. I mean, I'm a member of the Western Front Association, but I'm not, it doesn't say you have to be here. So if you guys are interested, there's the bloody email. And you can go in to those online talks. I can tell you one thing I'm certainly going to be making sure of is on February 11th, I'm going to be sitting my butt on this stool participating in the War on African Waters. Dr. Ann Sampson, she's awesome. She's a young person too. But anyways, look at this. And there's Aces High, the Australian Flying Corps, 1912 to 1920. Stuff looks freaking awesome. My mantra, toss dice, lots of dice and paint minis. Oh, darn, Charles Latora, I'm going to have to send you that poster there of don't get rid of your minis or whatever, or get more minis. You can convert them into a bomb shelter. I love that one. So anyways, I wanted you guys to see this for obvious reasons. So I'm going to stop the snow. We're going to go to back to the narrative. So we're going to take a look at that. And now we're going to get into, hey, we did not too bad. I'm really surprised. Yes, I am actually. So we're going to go to the week that was. And away we go. I'll pop my silly little face in there and away we go. And we still have tons of time to get to your ATA. This is freaking awesome. I'm going to get rid of hold on here. I just want to get rid of some stuff that should help with, there we go. All right. The week that was for February 2nd to the 8th of February, 1917. February 2nd, in the Riga region east of the Kolotsum High Road, Germans launched several attacks and all are repulsed. Off the Anatolian coast, Russian warships sink 18 Turkish vessels. Bruges Harbor bombed by British naval airmen. Istanbul University proposes German emperor as recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. My goodness gracious, eh? Appeal to the English nation for food economy by Lord Devonport. Okay, that's why I've got him there. And it should be Devonport all in one go there. February 3rd, President Wilson severs diplomatic relations between USA and Germany. Count Bernstorff receives his passports and Mr. Gerard is recalled from Berlin. So that's the switchovers of ambassadors. But Mr. Gerard actually gets a little brouhaha. They hold him for a little bit. USA demands immediate release of over 60 Americans taken prisoner by a German Atlantic raider. The steamship Housatonic and an American, should be Anne, obviously, an American grain ship is torpedoed off the Scilly Isles, which is near Ireland, I think, with the crew rescued by a British ship. East of Bucor, north of the Anchor, the British line has advanced 500 yards on a front of over 1,200, with over 100 prisoners taken and subsequent German counterattacks repulsed. This was neat to find out, eh? First Portuguese contingent arrives in France. February 4th, near Beaucourt, 4 severe counterattacks against the new British positions are defeated. Northeast of Guidacourt, both sides make raids, with the British also taking 500 yards of hostile trenches and over 100 prisoners in the area. Hold on here. Oh my God, you should have heard me doing the freaking the after hours there a couple of nights ago. My God, it was like my throat was toast. In the Riga region, between Tyrol Swamp and the River Germans make several abortive attacks. East of Kalutzum Road, Germans attack and take positions, but are subsequently ejected. Oh, this is a biggie, isn't it? In Western Egypt at Siwa, a British expedition locates and defeats the forces of the Senussi leader, Said Ahmed. And I mean, there was even that with the cavalry, the British cavalry were like following them along on a trajectory and waiting for them to just get a little spot off. Jason Henke, happy Saturday, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Nice to watch the stream. Great to see you. I hope you're doing well. We're doing not too bad, man. And great to have you aboard. In Manila Bay, German crews wrecked the engine rooms of 9 German steamers. Well, for obvious reasons. And you want to see how fast the American government go, get off your ships. We're putting some Americans on board. Not taking your ships, but we're making sure you're not going to sink them. The USA demand for release of imprisoned Americans is acceded to. The Sultan of Turkey accepts the resignation of the Grand Vizier, Sais Halim, with Talat Pasha forming a new cabinet, who's the freaking Armenian genocide maniac, the second guy. The first guy, I think, resigned. He's old and sick. USA note to neutrals suggesting similar action to its own. And it was neat to start seeing that already. Wilson is trying to get into this League of Nations thing ahead of time, almost like League of Neutral Nations. Let's, get on board to try to, I just love this stuff. February 5th, Sea was evacuated by the Senussi and entered by the British, who captured Munisip Pass, cutting off the enemy's retreat. Referring to the break with USA, Germany states, the struggle is for our existence. For us, there can be no retreat. That could be Count Tiza, but that would be, no, that's an Austro-Hungarian, I do believe. Switzerland, in a message to USA, decides not to break off diplomatic relations with Germany. Smart move. Russian conference on the future of Poland is announced. Italian line is heavily attacked by the Austrians at various sectors, but all are repulsed. February 6th, south of the Ancre, near Grandcourt, the British advance and occupy 1,000 yards of enemy trench without opposition. Southeast of Foksani, with the Sereth River being frozen, the enemy attacks but is driven back. Near Kut, the Turks evacuate the south bank of the Tigris east of the High Tigris Junction. But remember, on the flip side there, over in Sinai, the British have not been getting their way. They are about to, I think, the third Battle of Gaza, but they're not doing, the first two didn't go their way, did it? Turks abandon forward positions west of the High. Second phase of the Battle of Kut begins. The steamship California, the anchor line, is sunk by submarine without warning, and 43 are killed or missing. Maybe that's the one off of Ireland, because I don't know where the Scilly Islands are. If anybody knows where the Scilly Islands, please let me know. New air board is formed with Lord Clogray as the chairman. Mr. Maybe Neville Chamberlain? I don't know. Announces his scheme for national service. February 7th, several neutral states refused Mr. Wilson's invitation to act in conjunction with the USA. British Parliament is opened by the King, and I think, nope, it's not finished. Grandcourt is evacuated by the Germans, and the British subsequently occupying the village. Oh, darn it. It'd be nice to see right now. Remember that video we watched, that animated video, oh my gosh, almost a year ago maybe, of that time-lapse photography of the Western Front, and we could see the massive retreat of the Germans as they went towards the Siegfried Line. I would like to know if this is part of this right now. I just don't know yet. February 8th, on Hill 153 in the Somme region, Sais-Salisel Ridge is taken by the British with 78 prisoners. From Grandcourt, British advance on both banks of the Ancre. A British destroyer, the old type, is sunk by a mine in the channel with only 5 survivors. Neutral sources report that Mr. Girat, there I was mentioning that, is being held hostage in Berlin and not allowed to communicate with the USA. And Spain officially replies to Germany, wicked. Now we're going to get to the ATA. And I just want to say this right off the bat. William Arends, I think I may have butchered the bottom end of it. I wasn't sure where the translator notes ended and the newspaper stuff started. That's all me, not you. So I'm sorry for that. But Oh my God, it just freaked me out when you had all this Tit-Bits stuff. So, hey, no one answered my bloody question there about what was it? The Scilly Islands. Please let me know where the Scilly Islands are. So here we go. William Arends, thank you so much for this. I'm just going to take a look on the side note to make sure that was there anything I wanted to picture-wise. Nope. I think we're all right. Nope. We're good. Yeah, we're good. All right. I'll just pop that there. Translator's note. For the sake of, wow, we're kind of a little early. It's interesting. For the sake of continuity, I'm going to summarize the first part of the article concerning the controversy, but you fill in so many blanks with this information, William Arends, man. It was awesome. For the first part of the article concerning the controversy between State Secretary Tit-Bits and those who did not agree with the program of unrestricted U-boat warfare made possible by the submarines capable of high seas operations that he had helped bring into being. And somebody's going to say something. Excellent. Thank you so much, Tolemykus. Small archipelago off the southwestern tip of Cornwall, England, United Kingdom. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you, William Arends. Yeah, so I guess that isn't our, so okay, see it anyway, so shush. Oh, here we go again. More people. Jason Angie says the islands are by oh, you're thinking of those ones. Where you did exactly what I did. I got mistaken. It's Scilly. I kept reading Sicily Islands as well, the way you did. But yeah, it's the way the brain works. Unrestricted U-boat warfare made possible by the submarines capable of high seas operations that he had helped bring into being. The article intends to show that anyone who did not go along with this aggressive naval policy is acting against the interests of Germany as being hypocritical, since there was no organized opposition to the building of this high seas capable U-boat fleet in the years before the war, as well as in the first 2 years of conflict. Here we go. Berlin's latest news, a nonpartisan, I swear to God, I love you newspaper. 6th of January, 1917, evening edition. State Secretary Tit-Bits and the U-boat question, a communication from parliamentary circles. The progressive press has spoken out against the Grand Admiral Tit-Bits and how he has directed the construction of the U-boat fleet and the role of that fleet in the conduct of the current naval warfare. In their news outlets and in the Reichstag speeches, this progressive faction is calling into question the program that the Grand Admiral put in place. But already, in the methods that they use to present their case, it is obvious that they are being offensive to the authorities and inadequate in their arguments. In all their cunning statements and references, they neither give us either accurate or precise depictions that could be points to begin negotiations, let alone as an explanation of their objectives. Sorry, my throat is just dying. In their attempts to negotiate about the policies that the Imperial Naval Ministry has previously initiated, they call for a rollback of the construction of more high seas U-boats and for the Navy to move full steam ahead with the creation of a German fleet of shallow water coastal diving boats. These are false, though comprehensible deductions that the course of naval procurement must substantially change is what brings us to this short but significant clarification. Translator's note. What follows is the rest of the article, kind of, because I butchered it, not William Arends butchers it, I butchered it. That is not so short clarification and explanation of how Germany chose to use the high seas U-boats as its principal naval weapon. Oh, on a side note, I did actually get a submarine, a U-boat, but it's World War II. Tough. I'm going to try to modify it. 144 plastic model kit this week. It finally arrived, so thank goodness. This includes the basic naval strategy and the same explanation, the technical reasons of the necessity of the procurement of the U-boats and why they were superior to the submarines of other nations. The differences of opinions between those holding socially progressive viewpoints and Lord Tit-Bits goes back to the year 1904. It's probably now we're getting into, this is the article, but oh well, sorry. That's why we're still getting into the italicization. Remember, I tried to do that for you, William Arends, with the translator's note. In that year, the question was still being assessed as to whether one either could or should use U-boats in war. It just sounds so much like a third person looking away from that. That's why it caught me that way. But then later on, it starts talking about us, or praise be to the German people. And I went, that does not sound like William Arends at all. So there we go. Anyways, I'll shush. The question, which was considered of the foremost prime importance, was, could the development of the underseas boats by the military serve as a useful purpose? England, and in part France as well, built their submarines in a way to defend their coastlines. This, they believed, was the chief purpose that submarines could fulfill. This coastal defense began in England under the control of the Land Army. However, thanks, William Arends. So, okay, goody. However, the Army High, it just sounds, you know what I mean? Like it's got that very almost like a textbook professor type sound to it. Like it doesn't seem like it's propaganda-ish, I guess is what it does later. However, the Army Command put too much faith in the laying of minefields around the coast of the United Kingdom once a war was declared. This strategy put English ships in danger and made it difficult to navigate around the harbors. For these reasons, the coastal defense was transferred to the Admiralty so that other means could be found for that purpose. In the judgment of the British Navy, submarines should have a principal role in that defense. The great teacher, War, had above anything else informed them that their previous ideas had been erroneous. Excuse me. At the same time, the German Admiralty still held that submarines had no value as a weapon that could defend the German coastline, and had therefore made the error of not building coastal diving boats. The basis of this decision appeared to have the following reasons. Firstly, that the German river mouths and coastlines were both too muddy and too shallow in depth for the operation of submersible war vessels, but not all. I swear to God, I would love to find out if the Danube can do it. Secondly, the Naval High Command believed that the defense of the coast could be achieved by other more effective means. This was the opinion of the Grand Admiral Tirpitz, as he had determined through his wartime experience that the submarines were devoid of value in coastal defense. But yet a third preliminary question arose. What kind of blockade would the English impose on Germany at the outbreak of war? Remember, they were thinking maybe it was going to be a shallow towards the coast, a la Napoleonic, with the way the treaty was. But then from what I know, it was like, well, the spirit of distant blockade still was the same thing kind of thing, so it wasn't illegal. Would they immediately take control of Germany's North Sea islands, or would they, at a wider distance, this is it, seek to gain naval success in the waters of the English Channel and in the seas to the north and east of Great Britain to protect their ships, obviously, from the freaking coastal things? The German Naval High Command took the position that it would take the form of a wider blockade. In this case, there would be no way for Germany to counter this enemy action than to construct underseas boats. This would be the only serious way to deal with the blockade, but coastal submarines would not fulfill the needs that were seen by the Admiralty. They instead saw the necessity to create a force with offensive capabilities correspondingly distinct to the nature of that weapon. For Lord Tirpitz, this could occur only with the development of high-sea submarines, which would, in the viewpoint of our leadership, war leadership, answer the question of how to respond to enemy actions. That idea proved that Tirpitz was right in how he foresaw the coming naval conflict. This justified the construction program of high-performance submarines by the Grand Admiralty, holding off the resistance to carrying out the creation of these alternative underseas boats against those who would have lessened and limited them. If he had let the Imperial Navy decide this issue in error, there would never have been the rows of intact boats that we've seen, that are to be seen today. Much money would have been squandered, much time would have been lost, the danger to Germany would have risen, a false path would have been taken, and above all, the creation of an effective high seas U-boat fleet would have been missed. Lord von Kappel declared that in the High Committee of the Reichstag on the 5th of April 1916, as reported in the North German Global News, that to prevent a misunderstanding emitting from the progressive political side, it must be stated that the submarines of the English and the French during this time of freewheeling naval warfare have never played a decisive role. The German U-boats, however, with their high performance capabilities, far surpassed all other navies in every other way. Minister von Capelle concluded, this is the proof of how much Tirpitz was right in contrast to his progressive critics in not building the unfit for service coastal submarine boats, but rather the first high seas capable underseas boats with their splendidly competent capabilities. I am so opposite the Tirpitz. It's mind-boggling. Before I would put all my eggs in the coastal submarine. It's nuts. Before high seas U-boat could be built as Tirpitz envisioned it, there were a variety of technical difficulties to overcome, mainly in how the engine motors and the periscopes were to be designed. The French built their first U-boats with gasoline engines. This, along with the simultaneously developing electrical applications, created a permanent danger of explosions, which has been proven by the many French diving boat catastrophes. This circumstance led Tirpitz away from this design. His solution was a motor powered by kerosene instead of gasoline, and I think you guys know that they did not like that. The crews, from what I've been reading. This proved to be a successful solution, while he also observed and learned from the experience and progress in French motor design. Thus, Germany built U-boats with capable, reliable, and stronger kerosene motors. With great energy, Tirpitz now constructed his U-boats. By 1907, Tirpitz declared the Naval Ministry had not for one moment failed to properly commission U-boats capable of going to sea. The tremendous development of these U-boats gave us, at the start of this war, a much greater number of seaworthy U-boats ready for combat than our enemies possessed. This advantage would greatly increase as the war progressed, but only because we had concentrated on building the Tirpitz type of U-boats. This success is in contrast to the limitations of the shallow water diving boats. That Lord Tirpitz alone deserves the praise for the success of our performance in the high seas is self-evident. With this, the minds of all the wise men must agree. Every attempt by the various political parties to diminish this accomplishment of Tirpitz must be seen as inconceivable. They're mistaken when they question this act of German self-empowerment, which is proven by the ability of our U-boats to help us reach the shining goal of victory, that their employment is made a reality through the efforts of Grand Admiral Tirpitz. No other name has been more associated with the success of these past 2.5 years of our U-boat campaign, in referring to the critics. This way, it is both peculiar and unintentionally comical that when at one time they, along with many others earlier, proclaimed their love for the U-boat and acknowledged its present advantage as a weapon of war, would now thoughtlessly, with whatever power they possess, say that they would want any other result to occur. We're almost finished. Translators note, it is unfortunate that those who saw the use of the U-boats with no restrictions as a necessary escalation of the war, and while they attacked those who warned against that action for not being patriotic enough, the war measure proved to be strategically flawed and doomed any attempt by Germany and the Central Powers to make a peace without being forced to accept the terms of the Entente Powers. Son of a bitch! I'd so want to just have a long 1-hour discussion with you guys about for and against. Like, I would really like to have a good old chinwag debate stuff, because I'm like, oh, you've got I would love to counter some of your stuff, William Arends. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I'm like, oh, I'd like to have some fun with you. As powerful as the U-boat was as a weapon, it is clear to see that the German establishment and those who still were willing to follow them were at this point in the war was turning the U-boat into an object of worship or an instrument of God, if not of God itself. Sweet. Okay, let me stop the screen because we're 3 minutes over, but it was a wonderful 3 minutes over. Let me get rid of this thing so I can just look at, nope, boink, boink. And then we're going to go off to, just about to go off to after hours. Yep, kind of things I would love to have talked to you about. Sounds like a love letter to Tirpitz. I know, especially due to the fact, as you know, he resigned last spring and so on and so forth. But there we go. And of course, let's be honest, they probably have to really start doing that because, or trying to believe the hype that it's going to work. Thanks, guys. Yeah, we're going going to talk about a bazillion other things next week for sure. Live stream 107. Yet again, there's still stuff at a bunch of orphans this week that didn't get to get around to. For the love of God, if you've got anything that you want to bring to the table and share with the rest of us, give it to me before Saturday, and I'll get it all queued up. I don't care if it's pictures, whatever. It doesn't have to be Great War related, for goodness sakes. But you're like, hey, I think this, you guys find this interesting, or so on and so forth. Please bring it, and we'll pop it in the community contributions section for my thing. It's not called a tab in my world, on my narrative page. That's it. I'm about to go on. Hold on, I better go and grab it before we make it vanish. That's for sure. Or, I mean, I stopped talking this way, and it's just, I just turned into a texter like you guys. So anyways, I hope you guys have a great remainder of your weekend and a great week. Thank you so much. This was freaking awesome, as per usual. I know we're going to have, it's up and down weeks or whatever. Sometimes they're going to be super great. But I would say now that we're into live stream 107, for goodness sakes, I'm thinking that we're starting, you know what I mean? Like we're catching our groove. Like that's why I'm looking at it. We're starting to get used to doing things, and we're mixing things up. I find from time to time. Oh yes, I do have to mention this though. I'm hoping that the war summary is going to work out good. I may start talking for a while and repeat some of the stuff I said. Because in the middle of when I was doing it, all of a sudden I looked over and I went, oh my God, it did that circle thing of like, wasn't getting the website. So I went, uh-oh, what's happening here? So anyways, that's it. Thank you guys so much. I'm about to pop on the thing here. Let me go and grab it so you guys can see. Yeah, obviously I'm going to go like this. And thanks again. I'm going to turn myself off and turn into a texter. And don't forget to go to the sources and links if you want to go and sign up for some of those talks from the Western Front Association and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Would be super duper great. Oh my gosh. I tried to play Ottoman. Oh my God. William Arends, thank you for mentioning as well. I forgot to mention that on the Consim, the newer one forum. If you go to the World War I and interwar period, someone just did a Ottoman sunset thing review. There's also, darn it, a review for, oh my gosh, for the YA magazine, the Steamroller, the Steamroller magazine one. I've got it upstairs. I was like, awesome. Somebody did a playthrough for it. Okay, that's it. My voice is toast. I'm gone. Okay, see you in a bit, or see you in a while. Let me go to this. Oh my God. All right, bye guys. All right, here we go. Attempt number 3. The war summary, February 2nd to February 8th, 1917. I just got stuck on a word. I was like, oh my gosh. After the first shock of amazement, neutral nations are beginning to figure out the probable effect of Germany's declared intention of carrying on ruthless submarine warfare. Washington has received much advice from all over the United States, but neither the president nor Mr. Secretary Lansing has dropped a word as to the policy to be pursued in meeting the German murder menace. Oh, that's it, because I didn't see the hyphen. Remonstrances, which are believed by Washington correspondents to have been made to Berlin, prove unavailing. A breach in diplomatic relations appears to be inevitable. War and active participation in the operations of the Allies will not necessarily follow, but will unquestionably be urged upon the government by the representatives of the great mass of the people. The United States is notoriously unprepared for war. Oh, this is really, really interesting. The Republic has a fine fleet of dreadnoughts and pre-dreadnought battleships. A dozen at least of the former would be able to take their place in the line of battle with Germany's finest dreadnoughts. In the class of vessels that would be most useful as commerce protectors and submarine destroyers, the United States is hopelessly weak. She has but 16 light cruisers in all, none of a greater design speed than 24 knots, Half of them are well below 20, and such vessels are useless in modern warfare. Destroyers also, of which about 60 are in commission, are slower than the similar vessels of Great Britain and Germany. But I'm just going to say this on a side note, maybe those ships are pretty good for convoys for those small mercantile ships. Just saying. Only one group of 15 is designed to make 30 knots, and the bulk of the others range around 28 and 29 knots. Britain had many destroyers capable of 30 knots and over when the war began, and many more ranging up as high as 32 knots or more have been built since the outbreak of hostilities. She has also a number of light armored cruisers that can steam 29 knots or more, and by reason of their great speed are not excellently adapted to hunt submarines, but practically immune from torpedo attack. My God, what's wrong with my mouth today? It is difficult to hit a small cruiser or a destroyer rushing through the water at the speed of an express train. To sum up, the United States is strong in dreadnoughts and pre-dreadnoughts, in which the Allies are already overwhelmingly superior, and weak and fast light cruisers and destroyers, which could be used to an unlimited extent in hunting down the undersea pirates. Were Washington to declare war, the most that could be done to add to the Allied strength in European waters would be the dispatch of a few light cruisers of 24 knots and perhaps 20 modern destroyers. In trained men for land warfare, conditions are not greatly different. In the course of a month, a division of well-drilled regulars who can both march and shoot could be sent overseas, but that would exhaust the supply of immediately available fighting men. It would probably be the early fall before America's first 20,000 could be supplemented by another division of men fit for the front. And by that time, the crisis of the war will probably be over. Whoa. The United States might play a great part in the financing of the war and in increasing still further the output of munitions. That would be the most effective line of action at first. If the war were to drag on for another year or more, the military aid of the Republic would become important. At the first call for men, hundreds of thousands will offer who, when drilled and taught to shoot, could be trusted to take care of themselves against Germany's best. Remember, we saw last week or during in the headlines, there's upwards of like 50,000 Americans right now fighting for the British, primarily. It's pretty neat. The North Sea is via Canada. The North Sea is not to be entirely closed to neutral shipping. It is officially announced that the passenger and small steamers on the route from Flushing to the English port of Southwood in Suffolk will not be interfered with, and that a lane will be left unmined which they may traverse. The vessels, it would appear, must be used only for the carriage of passengers and mail. The 30 Hollanders and Danes who have been selling great quantities of foodstuffs to Britain at fancy prices will now either have to sell all their surplus to Germany or risk the lives of their seamen in carrying cargoes to British ports. Cargoes of iron, ore from Spain, pit, timbering from Norway, and similar essential supplies for manufacturing are to be specially singled out by the Germans for destruction. The Russian win in southern Bukovina on Tuesday was almost as important as that of Saturday last in the same region. During Tuesday's battle, 11 officers and over 1,000 men of the Teuton army were captured, together with 1 field gun, 10 machine guns, and a number of trench mortars and mine throwers. The enemy launched 3 counterattacks on Wednesday with the object of recovering his lost positions, but on each occasion, the assailants were driven back with heavy losses. Petrograd announces also a Russian advance to the east of the River Ah on the Riga front, where German pressure recently forced the troops of Ruski to give ground. The sector on the Kazem roads has been freed of the enemy. To do this, the Russians had to overcome poison gas and extremely cold weather as the obstinate resistance of the Germans. Remember, Ruski used to be the Russian 3rd Army commander back with Galicia there at the start of the war. It's pretty cool. I think he's actually, doing really well historically. Like he's been promoted, big time. Anyway, shush. Paris reports no event of importance yesterday except a sharp artillery action in the upper Alsace. The Belgians seem to have almost continuous artillery actions along the Yasser. The steady bombardment may presage another effort to break through toward the Straits of Dover. It is reasonably certain that strong bodies of British troops lie behind the Belgian lines from the Ypres to the sea. General Haig reports that during January, his operations resulted in the capture of 1,255 Germans. The British position was improved yesterday north of Beaumont-Hamel. A successful trench raid was carried out southeast of Neuville-Saint-Vaast. 2 attacks by Teutons dressed in white failed in the vicinity of, darn it, I have a hard time with that, Wittscheid or something like that. Actual war operations on all fronts, so I'll have to go and look that up, man, and start practicing, are overshadowed by speculation as to the action to be taken by the United States and other neutral powers respecting the new submarine frightfulness of Germany. President Wilson spent yesterday afternoon consulting with the members of Congress at the Capitol. Unofficial statements intimate that most of the representatives and senators with whom he took counsel were in favor of an immediate breach with Germany. Some correspondents intimate that Bernstorff will be given his passports today. The more conservatives express the view that the president will not take precipitate action, but will either wait for an actual offense against neutral rights at sea under the new German regulations, or will make another formal demand that neutral vessels shall not be attacked without warning, and that they shall not be sunk unless they carry supplies which under the laws of nations can be reasonably regarded as contraband. The smaller neutrals will trim their sails according to the course set by the United States. Dutch papers are gravely apprehensive that Holland will yet be drawn into the war. The economic life of Holland depends on overseas communications, and the new German regulations will make havoc of all Holland's maritime commerce. Norway also feels the pinch. The mail steamers, which have sailed daily between Norway and England, stopped running yesterday, and the Norwegian Post Office has declined to accept mails for the United States, as both the direct route and that by way of England are closed. There's an exceedingly acute shortage of coal in Norway. Stores and public places of assemblage, churches, and like buildings are cutting down and lighting, and theaters and movie pictures houses are permitted to open only twice a week. At this, with the object of saving coal. I'm going to pause and get some water. Oh my God, I almost hit the restart button. I was like, no. Anyway, Spain also is seriously affected by the German regulations. The ministry is not disposed to discuss the situation publicly, but it is known that a conference has been held with the ambassador of the United States and that a movement is afoot for united action on the part of all the neutrals whose overseas interests and whose manufacturing and mercantile affairs at home are seriously menaced by the action of Germany. In preparation for the spring campaign, it is proposed to mobilize the entire population of both sexes in France between the ages of 16 and 60, assigning to all citizens the duties most required by the state of which they are capable. 350,000 men rejected for various reasons for military service are to be re-examined, and it is believed that 100,000 of these will be found fit for the front. Germany also is straining every nerve to add to her resources and men. It is stated in dispatches from The Hague that 60,000 additional Belgians are to be deported and used in industrial establishments in Germany, so that a corresponding number of Germans may be released for service at the front. The impending declaration of martial law in Brussels and the districts roundabout is believed to be a preliminary to the new deportations. The French troops, which hold the line of the Allies on the shores of the North Sea, were the object of attention yesterday on the part of the Germans, who endeavored to capture by surprise a small post near Saint-Georges. The attack collapsed under the French fire. To the south, along the upper Yasser, the Belgians report an all-day cannonade of varying intensity. On the French front, generally there was calm except in the forest of Apremont, in the Saint-Mihiel salient southeast of Verdun. There, the German artillery carried on a destructive bombardment of the German organizations. The night report of General Haig tells of a successful trench raid northeast of Guidocourt on the Somme front, in which 2 German officers and 56 men were taken prisoners. The German report on this affair stated that the position entered by the British was cleared by a counterattack and that a number of prisoners remained in the hands of the Germans. Sir Douglas Haig's statement shows that the German account is wide of the truth. The enemy had one bit of luck in trench raiding when a British officer and 12 men from a British advanced position near Le Save were brought in. Clear weather, increasing artillery activity, and many combats in the air were the features of the day. 4 British airplanes are missing, but much useful work was done. The German aviators also are reported to have secured valuable information in flights over the parts of France occupied by the British Army. The game of blind man's bluff is probably near an end. Longer hours of daylight and more sunshine are enabling the leaders on each side to learn something of the dispositions of the enemy. On all parts of the Eastern Front, extreme cold and heavy snowstorms have brought about a lull in the operations. From Salonika, it is reported that bad weather is general, but the artillery fighting is going on, varied by occasional affairs of patrols. Berlin tells of storms and severe cold, which prevented any movement of importance on the Russian front. A successful blow was struck by General Haig's troops early on Sunday morning north of the Ancre near Beaumont. The British line to the east of Beaucourt was pushed forward 500 yards on a front of about 3/4 of a mile. Over 100 prisoners and 3 machine guns were captured. Twice during Sunday, the Germans counterattacked, but were repulsed with heavy losses. The British casualties were slight. Berlin, admitting this loss of ground at Beaucourt, says that near the bank of the Ancre, a British detachment succeeded in penetrating one of the most advanced German trenches, but that north of Beaumont, the attack failed. The most startling development of the last 24 hours is an announcement from Washington that President Wilson has asked, this is awesome stuff, man, all neutral nations to break off diplomatic relations with the German government. It would appear that the United States seeks to head a league of neutrals, having for its objects the maintenance of free navigation under the laws governing traffic upon the high seas. Several of the smaller neutral nations are becoming distinctly hostile to Germany. Brazilian opinion veers rapidly towards the Allies. There is much excitement in Spain, which would suffer probably more than any other nation from the carrying out of the German threat to sink all ships bound for British ports. The Scandinavian countries have taken tentative steps towards the formation of a league of their own. The German note has unquestionably isolated the Teutonic powers from the rest of the world. It would require very little further to array against them in an act of warfare all the nations of Europe, save Switzerland, and the whole of the continents of North and South America. I'm gonna get some more water. Hold on here. No act which needs necessarily be followed by war between Germany and the United States has yet taken place. A steamer flying the flag of the United States has been sunk while on the way to England, but her crew were warned and were treated with reasonable consideration. The torpedoing of this vessel does not, in the opinion of Washington, constitute an act of war. Precautionary measures have been taken in the ports of the United States to prevent the scuttling of the many German and Austrian ships that have lain there during the past 2.5 years. Some of the crews have been removed, and officials representing the United States government are now in charge of the vessels. Should war come, they will afford rich prizes. Some time ago, it was stated that the value of German vessels alone in the United States harbors was considerably over $60 million. The army of General Maud during last week continued its sweep around Kut El Amara on the south bank of the Tigris. The operations consisted in clearing the Turks out of their trenches along both sides of the High, which makes a junction with the Tigris immediately south of the town of Kut El Amara. At the close of the week, the Turks held but all one line of trenches in the angle formed by the east bank of the High and the southerly bank of the Tigris. To the west of the High, there was heavy fighting in which many Turks were killed during an attack by the British on Thursday. Some of the ground won in this advance was recovered in a counterattack by the enemy. The severe weather still prevents any large operations upon either the eastern or western front. Despite the cold, a German attempt was made on Saturday to storm the Russian defenses in the region east of the Kelzem Road, south of Riga. Fierce artillery preparations were made early in the morning. These were followed by 2 attacks, in the second of which the Germans broke into several of the Russian trenches with considerable forces. Russian reinforcements were launched upon the flank of the invaders. The captured positions were recovered, and the Russians, going forward, attacked the enemy forces. The Germans did not accept battle, and the Russians thereupon returned to their own trenches. Paris reports a number of surprise attacks on German trenches in the region between the Oise and the Aisne. There has been much aerial activity, the French aviators have been particularly active in bombing the barracks and railroads behind the enemy's line. The correspondent of the New York Tribune, whose description of Germany's new super submarines was printed in Saturday's Globe, tells today in another column of the equipment of these submarines as mine layers. He states that hundreds of thousands of mines have been prepared. They will be strung in rows before the important British harbors and will be released in submarine attacks on convoyed shipping. The haphazard release of mines in this way is, of course, contrary to every law of civilized warfare and the freedom of the seas. But Germany is no longer pretending to conduct civilized warfare. Germany did not long delay furnishing to the United States a cause for war. It is officially announced that the British steamer Evestone has been sunk by a German submarine that shelled the boats in which the crew took refuge when they abandoned their ship. The captain and seamen were killed. Among the latter was Richard Wallace, an American of Baltimore. There is no indication that the crew of the Evestone resisted the attack of the submarine, and the case looks like one of deliberate murder. Hold on here. There we go. President Wilson is acting with due deliberation and has apparently vetoed the idea of immediate confiscation of a German shipping in the ports of the United States. The removal of crews and the sealing up of the vessels are precautionary measures intended to prevent their destruction. If war comes, they will, of course, be at once seized and utilized by the government for military purposes. There are in all 89 German vessels in the ports of the United States and the overseas possessions of the Republic. They range in size from the gigantic Vaterland of 54,282 tons. I have to look up that ship. One of the greatest, if not the very greatest, of the world's ships now lying in the Hudson at Hoboken, to the tiny Neptune of 197 tons at San Francisco. Hold on, I'm going to hit pause because I'm going to forget about writing this down, so I might as well do it now. All right, here we go. The total tonnage, thus, at the mercy of the United States is over 420,000 tons, or about 8%, man. That's amazing, of Germany's ocean-going vessels. Manila is crowded with the German ships that fled thither to escape capture at the outbreak of the war. There are 10 steamers of considerable tonnage at Honolulu and some big ones at Cebu and Zamboanga in the Philippines. Oh man, and I know somebody from the Philippines. He's probably just shaking his head right now going, oh my gosh, Chris, you just butchered that, man. New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and that's part of the course here anyways. At the after hours, Baltimore have about 20 of Germany's finest passenger steamers, several of which could be speedily fitted up as auxiliary cruisers and sent out to protect American commerce. The Crown's Prinzessin Cecile is good for 23.5 knots, and the Kaiser Wilhelm II could do even better than that on a pinch. The Crown Prince Wilhelm is another 23.5 knot boat, which would make a first-class light cruiser of a type the United States needs badly. Progress on the Tigris continues steadily. The latest report announces the capture of 3 lines of Turkish trenches west of the junction of the High and the Tigris on a front of 650 yards. The enemy's position was penetrated to a depth of 400 yards, and the ground one has been incorporated with the British lines despite 4 counterattacks, which resulted in severe losses to the enemy. The mouth of the High River is now under command of British guns at a range of about a few hundred yards. Tolemykus itself could be entirely destroyed from the points of vantage now held by the British Army, but General Maud's plan seems to be to maneuver the Turks out, or perhaps to capture the garrison by envelopment. An important move up the river is recorded in the dispatch. British cavalry on Friday reached the right bank of the Tigris 25 miles northwest of Tolemykus. The advanced Turkish base is opposite the point reached, and enemy shipping in the river was shelled by the detachment. The Tigris between Baghdad and Kut flows in a series of loops that look like the wrigglings of a snake, but from Kut to Baghdad is only 80 miles by land, but it must be almost twice as much by the river. The Turks have a very loose hold of the region west of the Tigris, or British cavalry could not reach a point within 60 miles of Baghdad without encountering serious resistance. I'm just going to hold on here again. Sorry, I just wanted to find out how many 60 miles is in der Weltkrieg terms, and it's about 5 hexes, so it's still pretty far away, man. Another successful nibble at the German line on the Somme was made by General Haig's troops on Sunday night. In the region northeast of Wiedercourt, they occupied 500 yards of hostile trenches and took 70 prisoners and a machine gun. 2 counterattacks were repulsed. East of Beaucourt, the Germans have launched 4 unsuccessful attacks within 24 hours on the newly won British positions. The only result was the capture of 39 additional prisoners. Many trench raids have taken place. The Germans endeavored to reach the British lines at 4 places and succeeded in only 1. The British entered the German lines at 3 points. In the Encre region, as soon as the sun of spring dries out the mud, the Germans will assuredly be harried out of their subterranean galleries on both sides of the stream. The French Night Report records but 1 incident, a trench raid in Alsace, which yielded 16 German prisoners and a machine gun. The ferryman's house, cool, on the Yasser is once more mentioned in dispatches. The Belgians blew up a small German post near it on Sunday night. Damn, sorry, I gotta pause this again. All right. I just wanted to record that and go find out about the ferryman's house later. The submarine peril is real. It is not yet deadly, but the best efforts of the British Navy will be required to prevent it from becoming so. Oh yeah, they're starting to, I'm sure there's a lot of wet armpits going on right now. During the past 24 hours, and you know what, oh, I'll just shush. During the past 24 hours, British vessels aggregating considerably over 25,000 tons displacement have been reported as sunk, presumably by submarines. Were this rate maintained, it would mean the disappearance of over 700,000 tons a month of ocean-going shipping from British registers. The possible new construction is not over 150,000 tons a month. And to secure so large an output, the men of the Clyde, the Tyne, and other shipbuilding centers would have to speed up far beyond the pace now maintained. The greatest output of new vessels from British yards before the war was in 1913, when 1,247 merchant ships of 1,200,489 tons were launched, as well as 248,000 tons of war vessels for the British fleet and foreign navies. By building standardized freight carriers and speeding up, Britain might reduce gross losses of 700,000 tons of shipping a month to net losses of 555,000 tons. But hold on, I'm going to get my little mousy thing here. But a few months of destruction would seriously cripple her mercantile marine. The total tonnage of British merchant ships engaged in the home of foreign trade in 1914 was 12,214,000 tons. My God, this is exciting. I'm just like, oh, it's just, I'm really enjoying this bit. Since that time, because it's like, oh, it's getting right down to like the map. Oh, anyways, shush. Since that time, the net loss is believed to have been about 3% of late neutral shipping has been hard hit. Many of the 154 vessels sunk during January were Norse, Dutch, and Danish. These losses lessen the power of British to feed her people and to obtain supplies of raw material for munition making and the carrying on of general manufacturing industries. For the neutral ships sunk are those engaged in trade to and from the United States Kingdom. Since the war began, according to figures compiled by the New York Journal of Commerce, 2,361 vessels belonging to belligerent and neutral nations with a gross tonnage of 4,368,000 tons have been sunk. The development of Germany's last great offensive, that of the undersea boats, will be watched with keen anxiety by everyone who knows how vital Britain's shipping is to the people of the United Kingdom and their allies. Just going to say this. Remember, we've been seeing this for the past while now, this monster buildup of trying to get Canadians to join the forestry corps and whatnot and send them over to start chopping trees there, so that way they can relieve the burden and increase capacity of non-wood shipping. You know what I mean? Like not using the ships to bring lumber and whatnot on over. And later on, darn it, I got to look them up. The British general said it was that forestry corps was more important than like any battleship or whatever. I was just like, whoa. Anyways, I'll shush. The British Army continues to advance on both sides of the Ancre. In the vicinity of Grandcourt on the south bank of the stream, where the Canadians did some hard fighting in November. 1,000 yards of German trenches were occupied yesterday without opposition. The German evacuation was probably due to the progress of the British during the past few days east of Beaucourt on the north bank of the Ancre. There's a high land east of Beaucourt, which would give the British gunners command of the lower level on the south side. From the captured ground east of Beaucourt, 48 additional prisoners were brought in yesterday. Artillery activity at many points along the front is reported by Sir Douglas Haig. Got 2 more pages after this, man. Oh my God. My voice is toast to hell, but tough. Here we go. The French report tells only of artillery activity, particularly in Lorraine and the Louvre, where at Les Essarges, the French batteries effectively shelled the German organizations. There is much artillery activity also in Belgium all along the front. The Germans appear to be using shell more freely than in any other part of the Western Front. General Maud is no drawing room soldier, although for a time he filled that role at Rideau Hall. He is hammering at the Turks day after day at Kut El Amara and winning ground which will before long enable him to occupy the town with a minimum of loss. The Turks, as the result of a successful assault on Saturday, were driven from the last trenches held by them on the east side of the High. They have also evacuated more trenches on the west side of the High. The defeat of Saturday cost the Turks heavy losses. Already, 600 dead Turks have been counted. Dispatches from Constantinople say that the British losses in the Battle of Thursday last were very heavy, the number killed being not less than 2,000. In front of one of the Turkish regiments, more than 1,000 dead were seen. This report is probably greatly exaggerated. The British statement, that'd be neat to find out, British statement regarding Thursday's battle shows that it was a serious affair and that part of the ground won was lost again as a result of the Turkish counterattack. Since Thursday, however, the British have twice advanced and have conducted themselves as victors. The Turkish losses are unquestionably far greater than the British. This is because of the superiority of the British artillery, carefully directed by aviators. The Turkish air scouting is very inadequate, and their Archibalds, I've got to find out what the hell that means, are badly served. So ineffective are the anti-aircraft gunners, maybe that's what they are, anti-aircraft guns, that a British aviator recently looped the loop and performed similar maneuvers over Kut El Amara in derision of the Turkish artillerymen. Command of the air means much in a flat and comparatively treeless region such as the Tigris Valley. What a scene that must have been. The spring drive is not yet begun in the valley of the Ancre, but already the enemy is on the move backward. The British report issued last night announces that as a result of continuous pressure on both sides of the Ancre and recent heavy losses, the enemy has been forced to evacuate the village of Grandcourt on the south bank, which is now in the possession of British troops who secured a few prisoners. Grandcourt lies to the northwest of Courcelette. It was very strongly held by the Germans, who had constructed underground barracks and storehouses on a great scale at various points on both sides of the stream. But you haven't seen the freaking Siegfried line yet, man. The ejection of the enemy from Beaumont, Hamel, Beaucourt, all right, I'm going to go back a bit because I don't know where it stopped. I looked over here and I went, what the hell is going on here? I'm going to just go from here and hope for the best. Grandcourt lies to the northwest of Courcelette. It was very strongly held by the Germans, who had constructed underground barracks and storehouses on a great scale at various points on both sides of the stream. The ejection of the enemy from Beaumont-Hamel, Beaucourt, Thiepval, Courcelette, and Grandcourt gives the British command of the river valley up to the bridge of Miramont. The occupation of Miramont and the river crossings there will probably force the Germans to give up the salient to the north, in which Serre and the Gumecourt are situated. The loss of the roads radiating from Miramont might even endanger the entire German front as far north as Arras. The French Midnight Report records affairs of patrols south of the Somme at Dinocourt and on the Aisne, east of Soissons. A German surprise attack in the Argonne resulted only in enemy losses. The sinking of the anchor line California while en route from New York to Glasgow, last page, my voice can go back to normal maybe, by 2 torpedoes discharged without warning from a German submarine proves that the program of savagery at sea outlined in the notification, which resulted in the severance of diplomatic relations between the United States and Germany, is to be carried out remorselessly, no matter how the people of the Republic regard it. The California was sunk off the Irish coast. The passengers and crew must have been under the necessity of taking to the boats and exposing themselves to the dangers of a wintry sea. The report says 30 of those who were rescued were in need of hospital treatment. Only 1 life is reported to be lost. The list of those on board gives points in the United States as the address of not a few of the California's passengers, but it is believed that almost all of them were British or Canadians. Oh my God, my voice. Oops. Oh, there we go. The sinking of the Port Adelaide, a British passenger steamer en route to Australia off the coast of Spain on Saturday, was the work of a German submarine which gave no warning. The captain of the Port Adelaide was made prisoner, and the passengers and the crew were rescued by a Dutch steamer and landed at Vigo in Spain. An official statement given out at the Admiralty says that the rulers of the Navy are not alarmed at the sharpened submarine war. Yeah, right. They have prepared for it and believe that that time will justify their confidence. It is added that a submarine may cruise for days without getting a victim. On February 1st, torpedoes were fired on site at 7 merchantmen without securing a single hit. The statement is reassuring. The final test of all precautionary arrangements, however, is their success. The initial losses of British shipping are uncomfortably large. Yeah, but we just saw a little while ago, you guys are freaking out that you're losing shipping, so shush. There's been sharp fighting on the Russian front, in which the Germans won an initial success, but were ultimately driven back to their former positions. We haven't heard from Romania. Well, of course, it's wintertime. The Germans in Romania also begin to move once more. Petrograd reports that on Tuesday night, the enemy, 2 companies strong, crossed the Sareth on the ice at a point southeast of Volkshany. The Russians were not caught napping and drove the Germans back across the river. The cold throughout southeastern Europe has been almost unprecedentedly great, and the frozen rivers have for this time ceased to be dividing lines between the hostile forces. Oh my gosh, we're at the very end here. The breakup comes earlier than in eastern Canada, however. And this is it. The Turks admit no loss of ground on the Tigris. They still harp on the British losses of February 1st, declaring that 2 hostile battalions of 700 men, each of which entered the Turkish positions, were completely annihilated. Of what took place after February 1st, Constantinople officially knows nothing. Well, I'm going to try and find out what the hell happened then. It's got to be written down somewhere. Anyways, hope you guys have a great remainder of your weekend and a great week, and I hope to see you for live stream 106 next week. All right, see ya.